let's end the excitement, get it going. We're missing the draft.
That'd be you.
All right, I'll bring the Woodman Hills Metropolitan District, regular board meeting for Thursday, April 27th, 2023 to order at 5:48. Item 2 will be roll call.
John Martin present.
Stacy Popovich present.
Neil Erickson present.
And Troy Stinson present. Sherry won't be here, she has a new position that requires her to work this evening. So we do have a quorum.
So should I make a motion to excuse her because she's at work?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to excuse Sherry Ringen from this meeting.
I second that motion.
Okay, got a motion by Stacy and a second by Neil. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries to excuse Sherry. All right, item 3 is director disclosures. Do we have any
There is no conflicts.
conflicts? No conflicts? Item 4, President's welcome and remarks. We don't ever have a problem with rules of conduct. It's always pretty civil in here, guided discussion. Thank everybody for attending, thank everybody at home. We're starting a little bit late, we're waiting on our attorney.
Apologies.
The camera turns over, zooms in.
Somebody want to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 5, approval or disapproval of the agenda. We had several things that had to be added, correct?
Correct.
So for executive session, we needed to add your negotiations, Younger Water. We're gonna talk about the audit. Does that need to be in the executive or?
I think it falls under negotiations because it's based off of the two different firms, our current firm with SBR and then a
Okay.
bid that we got from Big Scofer. So to me,
Fair
I feel
enough.
it falls under that.
So we'll have the audit update and then biosolids contract review. It needs to be added to executive session. And everything else that's on, that's up here that needs signed is on here. All right.
Pile.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I have a motion by Stacy to approve the amended agenda,
Second.
second by John. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of an amended agenda with those items added?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 6 is public comment regarding current board business not on the agenda. We have no one. Item 7 will be approval or disapproval of the March 23rd, 2023 board meeting minutes.
Looked pretty straight out to me.
I'll motion we approve the March 23rd
I'll
board
second.
meeting minutes. Second by Neil. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. All right, consent agenda. I like that we changed that. so let's go with the first item on the consent agenda. Ratification of independent contractor agreement with Vivid Engineering Group for soil testing services. Is this for out east?
It's for the their yacht project.
Do we have that up here?
That was actually included in the original bid quote, wasn't it?
Technically, it's a subcontractor of Glacier, but when we talked to the district, our district engineers, they wanted us to have the contract with us and not with Glacier
Okay.
because of the type of work that they're doing for us. So they're actually have been doing work for us already. We just partnered with WBA to redo the contract that they sent us because there were some things in there like indemnification. They wanted to not be indemnified. They wanted to be indemnified, and it's like, no, that's not gonna happen. You're a contractor, like, you are liable. So WBA has, correct me if I'm wrong, a kind of template that they use for these types of contracts. So we sent that back to our district engineer, sent it to Vivid. We haven't heard anything from Vivid, but as far as we know, business is as usual.
What's the timeframe and timeline on the Theriot project?
Well, it's looking like sometime in August, September before they have completion.
So do we have the agreement?
I don't think was that, did I need to print that out, Blair?
I mean, we've drafted it, I don't know if the board wants to look it over.
I mean, it hasn't even been signed by Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a form contract, so if I think if you're okay with the terms of it and scope of services, then that's probably fine. I don't know if you need to see the whole contract.
So we've reviewed, and so is district engineer, so is the attorneys, the terms, the scope and services. We're okay with everything minus the red lines that WBA made.
And it matches what we already approved and signed with on the Theriot project itself? Or
On
are there
that
changes?
This was just maybe brought to light after the fact.
But no pricing change,
No,
no terms of service change,
no.
it's all the same, it's just they doled it out to a subcontractor. Okay.
They just want to separate themselves so that the liability doesn't fall on just them.
And we still,
correct?
and we still check the same bonding, licensing and all that, make sure we're good, warnings and cover everything.
Yeah.
And so on here, when we do the consent calendar, you're just looking for, the actual agreement's already in place, it's just being.
It's just being voted on, right?
Okay, anybody else have any other questions on that? All right, second thing on the consent agenda is ratification of the IGA between the district here, Woodland Hills, and Falcon Highlands Metropolitan District. This was for water operation and maintenance services. And we already got that.
You've already done that,
We've already
so there's
done that.
nothing for you to sign on that.
We just were waiting on them to fix those items that were in it from the last meeting, right?
Yeah.
Sign it.
We now have a fully executed
Okay.
agreement that went into effect April 1st.
I mean, are we already talking to them about the other side of that, coming out the back end of there?
Was it May 17th?
Yeah.
Something like that? I think the earliest that Josh could meet was May 17th. We have an hour or 2-hour window on that day to start negotiations of long-term contract
Okay.
and consolidation. We'll see.
And he's leading that?
Well, no, I put it out, what,
Well,
weeks
but
ago?
He claimed he's so busy, that's the first time he
Right.
has to meet.
I put it out weeks ago saying, hey, we need to start the ball rolling on this. And then he said the earliest he could meet was mid-May.
I'm still kind of trying to figure out how he's doing all this, and his board doesn't appear to be
I mean,
part of this at
I
all.
don't understand why the attorney represent the board or their district, and we're not negotiating from board to board through, at least through the attorneys instead of through a property management company, basically.
Their board, and Blair, you could probably speak on this as well, but from what I understand from John, is that their board has directed everything to go through their GM.
That's what we were told, yeah.
Was that because they're disengaged?
I don't know what the reason is. I mean, that's just how they want the process to go. I mean, the board can delegate somebody to handle that.
Interesting.
So that's.
It's a pretty
I just
dang
find
big
it odd
thing
that
to
you're
handle.
having a general manager from a third party negotiate, which will put him out of a job if it goes through.
Yeah, it's a little.
So how can he negotiate?
Objectively.
Get paid?
Yeah, that's true.
Unbiased.
I mean, you know, if it's not going the right way, then with the conversation, then maybe you do go to the board directly at that point.
Or we
Tried
go
that
to,
already.
or we go to Barb,
Yeah,
their GC.
yeah.
I tried that already, she directed us to the freaking property, to the management
The,
company.
the best luck we've had of getting directed to the board is through their attorney. That's how we were able to push through this last agreement.
Well, I mean, if that's how they wanna play it, we'll see how it goes at the start, but I mean, I just don't think that's not an unbiased, objective negotiation when you have to put somebody in place that's negotiating themselves out of a job.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's not going well, then maybe we put something in writing to their board and ask that be put in their meeting packet, so they're forced to see it at a meeting and talk about it.
I mean, cause otherwise we have no idea if it's getting through their board, I mean, their board meetings.
Unless we start going to the board meetings.
Right?
Well, that's why when we got that agreement signed by that guy, that didn't make sense to me.
You know, the negotiation terms, as far as concerned with, you know, we effectively, we kicked the can a few months ago and got their attention, you know?
Yep.
So they wanna do that. What's our term on that again?
They have until the end of the year.
Okay, so, you know, did they effectively just buy 9 months?
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
But I will say, credit to our attorneys, we've got some very specific language in there that they cannot wiggle out of paying us our fair share of what's due in that contract, and if they do, the contract immediately is terminated. So we're well protected. I'm not concerned, we're not concerned, I don't know if you're concerned, Blair, but I think long-term, there is some doubt that we can negotiate.
I just wanna make sure, cause it just seems like a kind of a broke link in that chain between the two parties there. They could,
Well, what we could do is ask
could
that,
drag us further apart.
that their attorney is on those calls.
I mean, that'd be our only, at least that's my concern. That was my concern to start with extending
Then
that.
they probably will say no, because it's gonna cost them to have Josh there, and it's gonna cost
Well, I
them.
know I know the financial difficulty over there, but the problem is it's still gotta be done, even with the cost associated with it.
You can't ask for an empire and then say, hey, we're gonna negotiate.
I mean, you can't just not do business because it's gonna cost you money, you still have to do business.
Oh, don't we know? Yeah, we agree, and I think the perspective, we've never really talked about this, but I think our perspective, I'm gonna speak for us, and so you tell me if I'm wrong, is that, let's see how this first meeting goes. And then report back to you guys, because we'll meet the 17th, and then we'll have another board meeting on the 25th. So we'll be able to report back to you guys what we learned, how far we get, and then we kind of go from there.
I think, is there a way to effectively relay some information that it's hard to have just one person stand up for the entire board and community over there?
What's that?
Kind of give them the hint, you know, that effectively, you know, you've got somebody that's, you know, not necessarily doing anything wrong, he's just doing what he's told,
Yeah.
right? So if he's gonna be directing all of their information coming back, great, you know, then give us some vote back on paper if you're gonna do it that way.
Yeah.
You know, so we know that they've actually seen the documentation and what we're talking about when we negotiate. You know, if they wanna do it that way and play it that way, then we need some formal document.
Yeah.
That'd be one way to handle it,
Yeah.
right?
Term sheet or something. Or,
Yeah.
Something ready.
I mean, I don't know, something better than something on a napkin,
Mhm.
you know, so, just a thought. Okay, I'm done.
All right, so with those two items being the only two items on the consent agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve or ratify those items on the consent agenda.
Make a motion to ratify those consent items on the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, got a motion by Neil and a second by John. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item 9 will be the attorney's report.
Yeah, so you've got our monthly memo in your packet there. Hopefully these are helpful, and
They are.
keeping you up to date on what we've been working on. Are there items on here you want to go over or talk about, questions about any of these? I don't want to belabor if I read it all to you. What's helpful for you? Carter, anything you think we should highlight that we've worked on?
I know Heather just sent an email today about Circle K. I honestly haven't had time to review anything, so I don't know what the updates were from Heather, but
I think we're just waiting on the acreage to be corrected. We're waiting to hear back from them on that. Otherwise, I think that's good to go. I think Wayne has reviewed it and provided his comments, Water Council.
good.
So that was
Still haven't got the water
finished.
for the acreage, right?
I thought they had that fixed a couple months ago.
I mean, we delayed this for like a year,
Yeah.
waiting on them to get the numbers right.
Yeah. So we thought we had everything done, and JD jump in here if I get something wrong. And then it got down to just the water deed, and typically it's through, what's the word I'm looking for?
Special warranty.
Special warranty deed. That's how it's usually conveyed. And the original property owners weren't gonna do, they were gonna do a quitclaim deed to Circle K.
And then
And
sign
so
the
Circle
lease
K
for
wanted
90
to do
days
a
or
quitclaim
whatever.
deed to us, and we're like, well, wait a minute, that's not how we typically do this. It should be through a special warranty deed, and so we had to go back and forth on that. And then somehow, the acreage came into play, and the original acreage that they told us, at 8.99?
Right.
Is wrong, it's actually a little bit lower than that.
Somewhere like 8.01.
And then there was some questions about the actual water rights themselves under all of the true acreage that's being included. So we ran into some hiccups throughout the way, but it sounds like we're pretty close to being done.
Are we doing all of this work for them, or are
No.
they accomplishing stuff
No.
on their own?
We just send memos to them through our attorneys saying, hey, we need this. And then their attorneys do whatever they need to do and then turn it in. So as far as I know, we're not drafting really hardly anything.
No, we've just been responding to them. So we get the draft, redline it, talk to Wayne, he's added his redline comments, and we send it back to him. We're not doing the heavy lifting on it.
Service plan.
Service plan amendment, so we've talked a little bit, I think Heather's talked to you, Carter, a bit about it, what you wanna have included in there, the debt increase. I think one thing for the board to think about, and we can talk about this in future meetings, is, your election. So it's one thing to increase the debt limit in the service plan, but you're going to get voter approval for additional debt. So what the strategy is around that, getting the word out to the community, educating voters, getting a favorable vote, all that stuff. So as you get closer to that, we can certainly help you on Fair Campaign Practices Acts and what you can spend money on and what you can't and that kind of thing. Anything else on that at this point that
Heather and I talked actually a little bit about that today. We're going to have, I think she said weekly or bi-weekly meetings, about an hour long, just to review specifically service plan, but some of the other ongoing things that we have going on, that just a lot of spinning plates right now. We also are gonna bring in our bond counsel, so Harsha Sekar is our bond counsel.
Okay.
So, we're gonna set up a meeting between bond counsel, you, Heather, and myself, talk about all the previous debt issuance from the district so that WBA is on the same page, and talk about what the language in the new service plan needs to be to not be so restrictive, to give us more flexibility to do things that we need to do as a district financially. So that will be a discussion we'll have in the near future.
Did we get that language in the last go-around of talks with him and them down there?
So, here's the bad part. All that work that we did was essentially for nothing, because the county decided in November of last year to change the service plan model again. So now we're almost redoing everything that we did previously.
Okay.
And so that puts more of a task on Heather and John and Blair. But it is what it is.
I mean, what are we looking for timeframe wise? Are we looking for?
The thing is, we have time. Time's on our side, right?
Are
Like
we looking at it 2 years at the next election?
I mean, ideally, we would have to, because for increasing the debt limit, you're gonna have to go through that process. So that's when you're looking at, May 2025, you're gonna have to put that on the ballot to get approval, so that by the end of 2025, we can get it all approved by the county.
I think you could possibly get voter approval November of next year.
Either it's a special election or?
Well, you can do Tabor elections in May of odd years or November. I think you could have a service.
But we're not
plan
subject to
ready.
table.
But with us being exempt under enterprise exemptions, is this something that?
True, yeah, so you're not, it's a revenue bond, so I guess you
So
don't,
I didn't think you needed to
You
get
voter
constituent
authorization,
authorization, it's just the board has to approve and then the county has to approve.
yeah, just the service plan part of it.
Yeah.
But to increase the debt, we still need,
You just need
County.
you just need the county to sign off on it.
we don't need the overall.
No, because you're Tabor exempt.
Yeah, but last time they tried a service plan amendment, it had to go in front of,
The residents?
yes,
Depends on what you're amending.
they were trying to increase the debt limit.
In 2011?
Yes, when they built this, when they did the financing for this, it went in front of the county and was shot down.
Shut down by the commissioners, right?
Ultimately, yes.
But I didn't think it was shot down because of the debt limit.
Yeah, it was shot down for something
For the
else.
covenants in the enforcement.
They were trying to get covenants
Yeah.
enforcement, but it ended up shooting down the whole revision. They never went back to try to get a debt limit. It had no support at any of the meetings.
Right.
And part of the reason it had no support was they tried to tie the rec center remodels and everything into that debt limit increase, which is silly to
Yeah.
try to increase your debt through a service plan for rec center facilities.
But you're saying that it went in front of the commissioners, not in front of the voters, right?
But it has to have, I thought it still had to have, ultimately had to go on the ballot.
I don't think so.
Revenue bond, yeah. Tabor should be exempt.
You don't have to.
We can, yeah, confirm.
Which is why we went to leases and bonds instead of just straight financing.
Yeah, debt is debt under Tabor, lease isn't a debt typically because it's subject to appropriation. Yeah, I'll confirm.
So I think that was their way of getting around increasing the debt limit, was going through the lease process.
Right, increasing the debt limit on a service plan, they wouldn't have to do that.
No.
Yeah. That's a different approval process than having to go to voters.
But we're talking about doing financing on some of this stuff, so that would have to increase the debt limit, which would then, I think, have to be approved by voters.
And what percentage would have to approve that?
Majority vote, usually.
Majority vote, but it's, so, yeah, under Tabor, this is what Carter's saying, is that it's a revenue bond issued by your enterprise. Enterprise funds are exempt from Tabor. You're not using property taxes, it's fees to pay for it. So that's why Carter's saying it doesn't have to go to
But
voters,
didn't
it just has to
didn't
go
you
to.
just give us an option for bank financing on some of this stuff?
But that's still not paid by property taxes.
Nothing is paid by property taxes, so everything is Tabor exempt.
Everything's revenue bond.
Even if you do a revenue bond, it's still Tabor exempt, because
Right.
you're pledging all revenues, which are fees, paid by the residents plus developers and taps, which is not not taxable, right?
And it's reinvested in the same community, so it doesn't tie in,
But
so it becomes exempt.
Okay,
so long story short, we've got a lot of work to do, but we've got time. Because we will not need this money for a couple of years.
unless CDPHE and them come down.
Even
tomorrow and say,
so, even if CDPHE sends Wally a letter tonight, we still aren't gonna need that money for a couple of years. But we're not waiting. We're gonna get it done ahead of time.
And that's, the back end of that is, or let's be more proactive than reactive
Correct.
on that, and make sure we got everything crossed and dotted before.
Right.
All right. Anything else on the attorney's report? All right. Approval or disapproval of financials, item 10. Thank you, Blair.
All right, starting with Parks and Rec for the month end of March. Total income was $246,250 on a budgeted of $254,997. Total expenses came in at $179,230 on a budget of $289,513. Net ordinary income came in at $67,019. You'll see that it has technically a negative net ordinary income for that month. Biggest reason for that is from a salary and wages perspective, the month of March, there's 3 pay periods, so you have more expenses in the month of March. But if you go over to the annual is still showing a positive $66,000. For the year is with the budget, but right now we're actually sitting at a net income year to date of $268,119. Are there any particular revenue lines or expense lines that you would like to review with Marcus and myself?
Start getting closer in controls.
We're getting there.
No, it actually looks better and better every month when you guys dial it in even more, so.
Yeah, Marcus and I have had a lot of great conversations about future budget years and what those cycles are gonna look like, so I'm very eager to get working on the next budget with Marcus. He's got a lot of great ideas on what we can do, both revenue and expense wise, to really dial in that budget. So I think you guys are gonna really like what we come up with for 2024.
And what's your ERP baseline gonna, when does that start?
So we're right in the middle of implementation right now. We'll have full ERP implementation and access by October.
Okay, and
So-
then bolt-ons for payment structures and all that stuff's coming after that?
Say that again.
You'll have payment structures and payment implementations and banking.
So banking for the district will happen when we do the implementation of the finance module. So that actually is in the next 30 to 60 days is when we'll start really working on that. So we'll be transitioning first module, finance, personnel management, stuff like that. And so with that will come all the changes to banking.
Okay.
Even if, let's say we didn't change banks, which we know we are, the ERP software is just simple thing for like you guys for checks, right? Right now, you have to physically sign them. With the ERP system, it actually has the capability of storing all of your digital signatures. And then I can then push notifications to you to say, hey, I need you to review these as a batch. You can review them and approve them, and then immediately I can print them and get them sent off to our vendors. So the software itself is gonna do a lot for us to optimize and make the process more efficient. But the banking, we still need a more robust banking services, especially treasury management. So when it comes to wires, payroll, all that kind of stuff, since payroll is now gonna come in-house, you know, we've gotta make some modifications to how we bank outside of the ERP.
You mean I won't have to go to the bank anymore for wire transfers?
Never again. Once we make that changeover to, our next bank, everything will be digital.
You need to put a step-by-step process in for authorizing who has access and signatures.
Yes, and there are security protocols, like who can see what, who has access to what, who can sign what. So all of that will be dialed in as we work in the implementation.
And what's their liability for protecting that information?
So Tyler's software is all proprietary and it's all cloud-based and it's housed on their servers. So it's also dual authentication from an access perspective. So it is highly encrypted and very safe.
How many hours of training do they have to take for this?
Not as many as
Seems like you
you.
took a week of my time away.
Hey, I gotta do double the amount.
Gotta type in 5 passwords.
That was a big deal.
Right.
Drop the blood before you sign.
I'm going
Oh, no, I was thinking about 40 hours of training, you do this the next 3 weeks, and
Yeah, then I
Come on.
send everything from my phone. before
Yeah, send
I
one
go
of
out.
my-
So it's all gonna be on the computer.
And then you
Yes.
put it in 2 different spots, so I had to add them up.
All right.
So any questions about Parks and Rec? We're
See,
good?
10 years from now, they'll be talking about his laptop getting turned in instead of everybody's.
All right, moving over to water for the month of March. Total income came in at $536,204 on a budget of $408,584. Total expenses, was $218,862 on a budget of $263,228. Net ordinary income actual was $317,342 on a budget of $145,356.
People started water early,
Not necessarily. If you look at that first line, district residential water use, it's almost right on the money with what I projected it should be for this time of year. I think what you see, really what helped was the water acquisition fees and water taps. Got quite a few more taps and water acquisition fees from Challenger for last month than what was originally budgeted.
They're on time, huh?
There, finally, yes. Any other questions on revenue or expenses for water? Moving on to wastewater. So wastewater profit and loss for the month of March, total income was $418,812 on a budget of $425,051. Total expenses was $225,701 on a budget of $238,444. Actual net income was $193,110 on a budget of $186,606. I will also tell you ahead of time that we have received our payment from Grandview for the first 100 reserve taps. It has been deposited, so you'll see it on the next P&L for next month, but we have been paid. So that'll be a nice uplift in revenue for wastewater.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that kind of goes off into the, like, separate pot for future
Yeah, it goes into,
design planning or.
right, it goes into essentially the same bucket that all your tap fees and system development fees go into. So a lot of that will go back to repayment of debt and things that are related to CapEx projects for your infrastructure.
So that'll be outlined and usable for budget come October, right?
Yeah.
You have to predict and feature that.
Right.
Okay, so it won't affect revenue or revenue recordings here at all?
The tap fees?
Mhm.
So it's
Separate
in the
tap.
budget for this year,
Right,
the tap fees.
okay.
Because I didn't know when to expect that payment, because I didn't know when the contract was gonna be finalized. It was just divided out evenly over the 12 months. So because we got one payment, you'll see huge payment going in for next month's P&L. You just won't see that revenue on a monthly, but it'll be in that year-to-date category.
You just don't want to see a line item over here that says 1,000%.
No, it'll show 100%.
Okay.
But it is also split between, so Granby has its own line item for tap fees. So tap fees will show 100%, but system development charges also went in, obviously into the system development line item. So you'll see a huge increase next month in that, and that percentage will probably come down closer to 100%. Or if we continue to outpace the absorption rate on the Challenger side, then you could see it stay higher, but most likely it's gonna come down. Any other questions about wastewater? Alright, district as a whole, income was 1,201,267 actual on a budget of 1,088,633. Total expense was actual 637,294 on a budget of 791,186. Actual net income came in at 563,973 on a budget of 297,447.
I like not having these 4-hour conversations on
Finances?
finances, good. Don't you?
That's actually what I was saying this whole time, like, wow, this is way better than where we started 4 years ago.
All right.
Anything else on the financials?
I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
Second.
Motion by Stacy and a second by John. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the financials?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Park and Rec report. Item 11.
We've got some exciting news on our summer concert series. Permit is in hand, so we will have a beer garden at the summer concert series. Jax, we've partnered with Jax on that, so nice tie-in is that they're actually a veteran-owned organization, so we were looking for doing something like that, because we combined our first one, doing military appreciation, instead of doing it at Balkan and doing the concert at RCE, we're bringing it together, so the VFW is coming in to do prayer and flag ceremony before the concert, and that'll lead into the concert. Bounce houses, face painting, all the usual stuff on that, but the new addition will be the beer garden on that. And we did with the permit, we did all the way through Fall Fest, so Fall Fest will have that as well. So that was, we had it up for 10 days, and if there was any citizen comment, we didn't get any, so we're good to go on that. We went and picked it up yesterday. We did our leagues and camps together, we're already starting to get registrations, they went live. The dance camp is probably the cheer camp is the one that's really cranking right now, we're seeing the most, to the point that we're thinking of maybe adding one if we can, of the cheer camp, because it is gaining a lot on that. Some challenges, we did have the small pools going in and out, last week and the week before, one of our chlorinators was bad, so we just replaced the two, took about almost a week to get the part in, but we did that in-house, pulled that part, put it on, and it's up and going. since then, so that was the challenge on that, but we're good to go. 2 treadmills, and then down here, we brought one over from RCE, but they were actually just fixed today. So they'll come over here, we'll actually have more treadmills. Currently, we have as many as we used to, but now with the 2 that we repaired, that have been broken for a while, we're gonna bring those over and we put a diagram downstairs, so we're actually gonna add some equipment downstairs. Did another upgrade here, we added a bottle filler downstairs, instead of, there's just 2 side-by-side drinking fountains, so we placed one of those, one with bottle filler on that, we didn't have a bottle filler here on site. So making a little bit of headway over here, and then I put some pictures up there. We did complete the gym mats. It took a while for them to get in, but we did it all in-house. We ordered 12 new mats, 6 for each side, so we basically extended that back wall all the way to the 3-point line to prevent the damage that was happening on that back wall. Once we got in there, it was actually a little more dangerous than we probably even thought of. The way that they had that secured to the girders was taking a piece and tying it in. So there was actually a piece of the bottom bracketing that was pointing this way and sharp. So if people ran into the wall, that's why you were getting those holes in the wall. So now these padding actually are backed by plywood. So they're actually about, I don't know, almost 70 pounds a piece. So there's some good to them. So that should protect it. Now, we've got another hole on the back side, so that's a little more challenging because those ones are custom made mats. These ones were nice because we could just order them and they were, the size, the standard size. The other side is the small ones, so they have to order the windows. So we're trying to see how we're gonna fix that instead of just, because there was a patch drywall, I think it's been fixed like 3 times already on that side too. So keep looking at that. So, but it looks great. We've had our adult league going on right now, so they're our true test. They're the ones that break the wall. So not purposely, it's just they get aggressive and that, if you look at that back line, it's pretty, there's not much further out of bounds. So when they were getting pushed out, it was gonna happen. So hopefully we got that fixed. And then our new pavilion is done, so we're ready for our summer concerts. It's a really nice looking pavilion, so. It was a little more stout than I think our vendor that was installing it. We bought it as a kit and then hired someone to install it. And it has like, I think there's 12 posts total into the concrete, so if a tornado ever whips through here, that might be the only thing that survives. So, but it's great. It'll give us plenty of room. And then we still have some money left over on that project, so we're getting a couple bids to see about pulling power to it, so we don't have to run the generators during the concerts to eliminate some of that noise. And then, the Balkan Park lighting, did make some changes on that. I put that on the back of the report to show you what kind of lights they are. They're equivalent to like what we put in the parking lot at RCE. They're not a sports lighting, they're an LED. They're about 20 feet, the poles are about 20 feet. They had them where the X's were along that. The problem is there was, on the lighting plan, the field was spotty at best. There was large portions that were black that had no lighting on it. Half the basketball court didn't. The reason they added the one light was to get the pickleball more lit, because it originally only had half lit too. So the discussions with Ross is, since those are more of a park light anyways, not a sports light, and it wasn't going to do the field any good, is to bring those over to the features that we have, so the neighborhood can enjoy basketball, so they can enjoy pickleball, the playground. Those things will be lit up with these lights. And then the field, at this point, if we, maybe a capital in the future, putting sports lighting out there, if that's what we deem we wanna do with that into the night. But we need to go through a summer to see how much, we have plenty of daylight, what are we doing? What's our rate of return on that, because lighting is very expensive once you start getting into that. And then you're talking about not 20-foot poles, but 70-foot poles. Is the neighborhood gonna handle that well? So there's some considerations on that. So, but the neighborhood, I think, they're putting our light plan together to see what the light pollution will be out there with moving it to this, but it will be better because it's gonna be back away from that fence. So all those houses that were along that fence line aren't gonna get any of that light pollution now that they were going to get.
Are we putting those on a timer? Or are they on?
There is a program that's with it, and it's the best, it adjusts for whatever, dusk is, so they'll come on at dusk. And yes, then we can set on what time we want them to shut off, but it won't be we'll have control of that. It won't be anything on site where people can just like.
Well, that's what I meant. Do we have a way to
But
shut
yes,
them
we will have a
off?
way.
Automatically shuts off at 2200,
Correct.
10 o'clock or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, we'll have to go on site to adjust it. It's not cloud-based, but we will have the ability to adjust it on site in the box.
Kudos to you getting Carter to print these in color for you.
You're never gonna
I'm
live that
I'm
down.
gonna have to go a year, was always providing color before this stops being a thing.
No, that's never gonna happen.
No?
Now that your printer's working, right?
That's right.
Try to
And,
mention it.
last thing, JD did the heavy lifting on it. So he did look into the RC mower, so I'll let him chime in to whatever he's found or not found. The gist of it, long story short, is it was never purchased.
Okay.
And if we wanna move ahead, the price on it is about almost 71,000, if we wanna move ahead on that. Under our current budget, the funding would be tough to do, but if we wanted to look at.
Not necessary, I just wanted to make sure we
Yep.
didn't buy a piece of equipment that walked out the door.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
The,
I didn't wanna read about the one guy down at freaking in Texas at Lake Conroe that's mowing his yard with an RC freaking mower.
the salesperson is, the company's out of Texas.
Of course they are.
That's how you get those conversations of going down to Texas and talking to the vendor. Road trip.
Actually, if there was any, stories that it was on back order, waiting for it, there was never, this is from the salesperson, a time where you couldn't get a mower, even during COVID.
Okay.
You could have it yesterday.
At that
Last
price,
year.
you probably should. You probably got back stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll look into it and look at the capital. I think it's a great idea. We're kind of pivoting on how we're looking at those drainage, gonna start getting some, quotes, bringing some landscape architects to give us a better plan of what we need out
It'd be
there.
great advertising if they give the district a deal on one of those.
I was at a trade show 3 weeks ago that had one. It was pretty cool.
So,
It was pretty neat. And apparently they float, so you can't even get them stuck.
You give demos out here.
Yeah.
The big thing is if you can teach Wally how to operate it.
I'm sure you can.
Why you?
The guy gave me the demo, he said you wanna stay about 100 feet from it though. They'll cut a tree down about 3 inches, so it's got some power.
yeah.
Okay, we don't want Wally operating.
That's it. Unless, obviously, if you guys have any questions.
Well, of course I have a question.
Send it to me.
You and I went and looked at, sorry, I don't know how to shut this off. I'm just ringing my hearing aids. You and I did the walk around RCE
Yep.
6-8 weeks ago,
Yep,
and we pointed out all the issues with the stucco.
yep.
Has that been
We're-
addressed?
We're getting 2 bids as we speak. They just said we haven't got the bids back yet.
So was any of that under the warranty from when we had all that re-stucco work
No.
done before?
No, none of it was under warranty. So we have to look at, patching is what we're looking at doing
Okay.
on the sections.
And have we looked at, just these 2 buildings are stucco, right? RC and CCW?
Is district?
Main office.
Main office
Stucco.
and stuff.
Main office
Stucco?
is stucco.
My only thought is if we have to come out and if we have to have them come out and patch RCE, do we need to look at the other 2 buildings to see if there's
We
issues
can look, this one. we
and
did-
get it all done at once?
Yeah, we did, I didn't see any issues on this building, I don't believe. We just did our 360 last
Look,
week.
Falcon Highlands is also, lift station is stucco, it's got a couple bullet holes.
Was it? We can add it to it. We certainly can add it to it. I can bring them out to those locations.
Yeah, bullet holes in the list again.
That's all I got.
Okay.
It's in the middle of an open field.
Yeah.
So you wanna share?
I think Troy looks a little guilty right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
Item 12, water report.
Okay, so there's some updates here, for Allslate's, Fair Route project. So the backwash tank installation and backfill that's completed there, the native soils that, were taken out of the hole were not usable and could not be reused and impacted. So we had to bring in a lot of structural soil mixture that was needed to complete the, job there. There's gonna be a lot of spoils there that would have to be hauled off. I think we have a place that we can take those to, and in a very short manner there, and very cost effective.
Don't we have a pond we can use to fill it?
That's what I was referring to.
Nobody give me an answer what's gonna happen to them, so we're gonna start filling them. Do some landscape back.
I mean, they've already been.
Number 3 is completely decommissioned and dry, so
All right.
we've gotta cut some slits in it, start dumping.
Next on the, it's also is their project there, and there's a little more explanation on this one. We had to look at all the valves up there for the tank site. There is like 20 valves just for the tank system itself, not including the other 8 that's for distribution and upper and lower zone and west tank lines. So it's important that we had to make sure we got every single one of them cleaned out and make sure they can be operated with no issues when the time comes for us to, for the contractors to start cutting into those lines. So there will be times where the water operations staff will need to shut down valves and progress of the building when the time comes to do so. One of the challenges that we're gonna see is isolating the 250,000 gallon tank to draw it down. By isolating the 1 million gallon tank off the distribution for that time to draw it down, so that we won't waste any more water. Because that tank will be out of commission when it comes to them to extend the line into the plant, the new plant. So that's gonna be a little tricky, but details to come and dates will come, and we'll come to that when that happens, and then the results would be reported during the next board meeting, whenever it comes in that time frame. And then, as mentioned in the last report dated on 3/6/23 about filter 3 plant having media loss, we have received the new media, and then we have already filled those vessels. And once we had the installation of that media completed there, we had to do a lot of backwashes and filter runs that you cannot use this water put into distribution. It has to be seasoned. What it means is that everything, if any impurities or anything that had to be charged to the media, like chlorine or other chemicals, which we only use chlorine, to charge the ions of the media so you can start removal of the iron and manganese that our water has. And those filters are now into service as we speak. And lastly, on the Theora project there, they have already started the digging of the foundation. The ground was, on the east side, had a lot of groundwater pulled up, and I think it's just what's left of a part of a basin, bottom of a basement, because there is a natural drainage way that goes through there, and then it goes right along to those back properties going towards Dallas. And so they had put in structural fill, namely 6- rock, and to build that up with the ins and unders for the piping that would come out from under the foundation and above the foundation. So all that has to be structural, and by the time they get that done, then we'll have a really solid foundation for the building, which we shouldn't have any problems with the foundation. Bentgrass residential is kind of slowed up. Bentgrass commercial, it's also slowed out. The Dunkin' Donuts, I don't know when it's gonna come. There's rumors about other things coming in there, and it's just rumors. Nothing confirmed with the developers in each of those instances. And Falcon Market, the Chipotle is now broken ground, so there's just one more place. Freddy's is the last one that needs to go in there. We had no groundwater wells or samples were good, and there were no, thankfully, fire hydrants out of service.
You had to say. You had to knock on wood.
I was expecting one to be knocked over this last snowstorm.
Right?
Give it a chance tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That's next month. That's
Is it supposed to snow tonight?
Yeah.
9 PM,
I'm tired.
starting at
Moving
9.
to warmer climate, man, this is, can't do this anymore.
Not warm in Tennessee.
Huh?
Not warm in Tennessee.
No, but that's a short drive to warmer. Shorter drive than here.
Shorter drive, good. There you go.
All right. Thanks, JD.
I had a question about there, but now I can't remember, because you have to think about Tennessee.
Thinking about what?
Just remind me to catch you after, I just had a few questions about there, and I can't remember what they are now.
Good, bad, ugly.
No, just questions.
So you can't remember, so you expect him to
I know.
remember to talk to you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
I'm hoping he's got a better memory than I do right now. I'm tired. Okay.
All right, item 13, wastewater report.
Alright, clearly they got an error on this thing. Third item down, you can cross it off. Our blower motor, it's been 17 months now since the shaft broke on it. And give you compression credit, they did fight with the manufacturer. We did get a new 200 horse motor, no cost to us. They pushed to get the warranty done. However, it's still just sitting there. And I tried emailing, texting, and calling 3 times this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, and today. Everything goes straight to voicemail. Their company has some issues. They got bought out by some Canadian firm like a year ago. They put out their eggs in one basket on doing some windmill stuff and went bankrupt. But their company in question on purchasing stuff. Now that I'm not getting any response from them, I'm gonna keep pushing on it, but I think so next week I may just find a different company to come in and put that in, because sooner or later one blower's gonna go down, we're gonna put another one, something happens to that one, and we're crap out of luck, and we've got a third blower that should be running, so. One or another, over the next 2 months we'll get this solved. Along with the blowers, the VFDs that control them, so I don't know who can catch this when we put the plant together, but there's just enough room between the cabinets to get your hand through there. There's supposed to be 8 inches of separation between the cabinets, so the hot air gets blown out and goes straight against the cabinet, there's nowhere to go. And we've gone through several sets of VFD fans in these things. So we could have had someone come and do it, we just did it ourselves. We actually cut holes in top of the cabinets, rerouted the fans, so now it vents straight up in the air, and the temperature difference is phenomenal, that thing, so it should vastly extend the life of the motors or the blowers on the VFDs. The new bar screen is installed, we're using it right now, but we're waiting on Ross Electric to come out. The old bar screen is put in the bypass channel, but we need that one wired in, and as soon as possible to take the new one back offline. On the submittals, the compactor was laying horizontal, and engineers are positive that they submitted it would be at an angle like our old one was. So the engineer for the company came to do startup, and it took them almost 3.5 days to figure this thing out. But the way it's sitting at an angle, we're gonna take the bearing out in no time. So twice a day, we're running almost half a tube of grease through this thing, just trying to keep seal clean, trying to buy time till Ross can come out. They're hoping to get out tomorrow, get that old one put in. Problem was, the guy that installed it, he had a fabricator come in, and some of the original pieces for this thing, they hacked up to get it to fit an angle, to almost $10,000. And kind of made it clear to several people, Woodland Hill's not paying that. Those got, any submittals I saw, was not supposed to be an angle. So that's something we'll have to work out with the engineers and contractor. But all the new parts are on site for them to put it, install it properly, just waiting on getting the old one running. So E49, finally have all the stuff in front of you for later. It wasn't until Carter brought up how much we spent on this stupid thing that I basically put a hard stop. It was amazing when I did that, how quickly the information
It was like
came.
immediately.
Finalize this thing, so it's finally ready. Still working on the golf course water, it's been sitting at Meridian Ranch now for 7 weeks. That'll be the next beer that I pull. Been working with our engineers, D.R. Horton, and their engineering firm, getting a site application plan together for the Grandview lift station. Looks like we should be about 3 weeks away from being able to get that out for submittal. It's gotta go through its processes, and hope by the end of the year we can get approval on it, and next year they can break their own. So, slow process, we're getting there. So one of the CapEx projects I'd asked for was to help out on solids handling. And I think I mentioned the last meeting that almost anything we do beyond what our current equipment is, trigger the site application plan, which once the state gets it, could bring light to our extended permit and trigger that process, which we kind of gave Grandview the promise that we would not do anything to trigger that. So essentially kind of kick the engineers out of the way, and we're just gonna replace what's in there with bigger. That's one way to get around the thing. It should help out, and it should buy us time until we upgrade the plant. So, for minimal cost, I think we can help out our biosolids production, which, there's a new company that's coming around that several people from the current company that does their biosolids services broke out from them, formed this new company. They've gone around and met with a lot of the other districts around. Talk about that later, dig in formal quote from them. And ironically, at the same time, our company, starting May 1st, our price goes up. So I ain't gonna make the budget on that one. But we can talk about that later. You gotta know the Meridian lift station with one motor and impeller assembly that twice now snapped its shaft, done severe damage. We did get one motor back, was rebuilt. We had Falcon Environmental come down. They measured the impeller, took specs on everything, took pictures, documented everything. So at least if it happens again, they've got something to go on. But
20-year motors, aren't they?
well, the motor's fine, it's when the bolt snaps and that thing comes to a violent stop at 1,700 RPMs. Motor doesn't like that. But it is operational, it's been in now for almost 2 weeks, been running good, so. But at the same time, we did rebuild the check valve, which is their recommendation that it was leaking and running the pump backwards just slightly. So it lasted longer than the last one did, so I have some faith in it. Wastewater plant's running good, no downtime on equipment, still working with 5-star and skate upgrades. Actually, we've taken 3 trucks on delivery now so wastewater's got all their trucks. I think we're just waiting on.
You're still waiting on
Safe, we're waiting on one more.
it. Get another one tomorrow.
Yep, mine are right.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. So, Blair knows about this. There's a company called Doubletree Ventures, and our favorite property in the district, the 11745 Owl Place. That's the ones they want to put a gas station, car wash, fast food joint, and a auto repair joint on that little property. I don't know how they're gonna fit it, but they didn't realize till a couple weeks ago that they were not in our service there, or included in our district. So they started the process of it with you to start inclusion.
Yeah, that's right. They've provided them with a form petition for inclusion. They'll fill it out with legal description of map and property submitted to you all, and then you would publish a notice of a hearing for inclusion. Consider including it into the district if you want to.
Which property? It's not the roofing place, is it?
No, it's the one just south of that.
It's not for that.
The one that technically we should have moved the sewer line on, but no, we can't because it's right underneath the traffic light. certain homes, 2.5 weeks ago, that they wanted me to do a commitment letter for 20 homes and paintbrush. So apparently, whatever criteria, now they're not doing any commitment letters, they're shipping them all to us. Which isn't a bad thing, but probably the way it should have been to begin with, so we have an accountability of what they're doing. So I did issue that commitment letter.
And that's for
Paintbrush.
the corner lot?
It's
Or-
not state
No.
land board, it's within the district proper.
Yep,
Okay.
on the backside of Londonderry, where they've already got stuff laid out.
Yeah, I mean, they've got most of the road in and everything back
Yep.
here.
So this found it kind of odd that they came to me for it, but Carter had talked about it, and I think it's actually a good thing. It's just would have been nice to have had a heads up from them.
Well, we'll see how it goes going forward.
Oh, that was the thing that I was gonna mention about there, yeah.
How does that trigger?
You're welcome, I don't know how that came in.
That's awesome. Well, that's because we're talking about state land board.
Oh,
So to backtrack real quick, state land board, the water, I sent you guys some images of what they had planned for putting retention ponds back there, right by the tanks. Did you see those?
Did not see that.
That was on the sketch plans, yeah, they've got some, I think there's like 4 or 5 of them in there.
So they're planning on putting some ponds right there next to the water tanks up there.
We'll make sure to change that.
Okay, so I'll give you a heads up, I said that several months ago, but the other thing is that through that area right there, coming through Theriot and through my backyard is a natural spring. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but we get that flooding that comes across in certain yards. And then the one house in the corner that's right there, kitty corner, their backyard with the German Shepherds. That house actually went through a flood about 4 years ago, completely destroyed the entire basement from a natural spring that came through there. So it poured water, probably, 1,000 gallons into the house for a week after a rainstorm. So,
can we add that to our water profile?
Man, let's just put a pump in there. Their
Put a
basement,
pump in their basement, buy that house.
pump it right in the tank.
Is that Dawson? Is that renewable from the Dawson?
We don't own any surface water rights.
Well, once it's in the basement, it's not on the surface anymore.
You can tell in my backyard, and water my lawn, I don't have to worry about it.
All right, thank you, Wally. Item 14, items unfinished from previous meeting.
I think we did, right?
We've covered theirs.
I think we've covered
That's
everything
what's last
from
one.
previous meetings. If not, we're gonna cover a lot in the executive session that's for previous meetings as well.
Item 15, board follow-up on ordered items.
Getting that pretty well rounded out.
We're good with the mower things, so.
Yeah, we're good on the mower thing now, that was the last outstanding thing I had.
There's more.
All right, item 16. I'll motion to move to executive session for determined positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations under CRS 246402-4E, namely potential agreements, contracts related to Falcon Fields, D49 golf course, CMT water agreement, debt financing, refinancing, and conferences with the attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS 246402-4B, namely related to the district's bylaws, rules, and regulations. And we added the underwater agreement and annual audit and biosolids contract review.
Second.
Second by John.
All right.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. No opposed, we're going to executive session. Okay, first item up for bid in item 17 on the agenda, other business, will be to vote on the D49 agreement for extraterritorial water service.
You almost said extraterrestrial water service.
What's that?
You almost said extraterrestrial water service, didn't you?
Did I say extra? I said extraterritorial, right?
He wanted to say
I
it.
did want to say it.
ET one?
When I first read it, I did read it that way.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
Make a motion to approve that agreement?
I'll second.
A motion by Neil and a second by Stacy. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries and it's approved. Second item would be a vote to approve or disapprove the water and sewer participation agreement and or recovery, participation and cost recovery agreement between Woodman Hills, El Paso County School District 49 and Falcon Fields LLC. Entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by John and a second by Stacy. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll sign these in just a minute. Vote to, we need to vote to switch our audit firm from current as SKR and to the new one, which would be Biggs Cofer.
I'll make a motion to switch audit firms.
I'll second.
Motion by Stacy and a second by John. Any other discussion on the? All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And the last item will be the term sheet for a non-revolving line of credit with Huntington Bank in the amount of $10 million. We paid back over 5 years.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Right, I have a motion by Stacy and a second by John. Any other discussion on it? All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And for public consumption, that is for purchase of water and land. So. All right, any other items in other business? No? Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion we adjourn.
Yeah, motion for
I
adjournment.
second that motion.
Second by Neil, and I would like to.
Oh, wait a
Whoa,
minute.
Wait,
Wait, we're not
yes.
done yet.
Let's hold
I
it.
withdraw my
All
motion.
right. Motion is withdrawn. So for the public, this is the last meeting on this term for 2 of our board members, actually. And so I don't think we prepared anything to thank them for their service.
You did not.
Hmm.
Except for our hearts full of gratitude.
So this will be the last meeting for Neil Erickson and John Martin on this term. Even though we have other things, I would like to personally thank you both for the last couple of years of all your help and keeping us on the right path, keeping me on the right path, making decisions, and helps me stabilize the board and the district moving forward. Not very many people volunteer to come up here and help make decisions for 7,700 residents in our district and another, 10,000 or so affected by our district in eastern El Paso County. So it is a big undertaking, and you guys have really helped shape and craft the direction that this district is moving in a very short amount of time. And it has been my pleasure and honor to work with you both over the last couple of years. And the floor is yours.
I gotta say that it was a pretty hard decision to make, not to run again. We've seen a lot of things change in the district in a very short time. And I've really enjoyed seeing a lot of the things that have come out of the meetings that we've had and participation that we've had on both sides. You know, so it's been an honor for me to serve this board and to be a part of this team. So the good news is that I'm still a homeowner. I come to meetings and I'm twice a pain in the ass at home. So I look forward to still seeing you guys. I'll be around. So thank you.
Scary,
Thank you, Neil.
very scary.
I can come to your lawn.
Stacy?
It has been my pleasure to work with both of these board members the entire time I've been on this board. We have gone through some amazing hurdles together and doing some hiring that we didn't know that we'd be doing some budgeting that we didn't know that we'd be doing, changing lots of administrative things for our community that we all live in. And so I thank you both.
Certainly. First and foremost, I would like to thank our directors for all of their hard work that they do every single day with their teams of people that they have. And to watch you guys grow from, well, really two of you grow from really not knowing what's going on in the district because of prior management, is that the right way to say that? To stepping up and really taking care of business. So it's been my pleasure to work with you guys. The board, I think we have a wonderful board going on here. We all communicate very well. We're not afraid to make some hard decisions at times. I know you can't call me the hammer. But it has been, so far it has been amazing, so thank you all very much. And I definitely thank you guys for keeping us informed with everything that's going on in the district.
Directors, anything for these two?
I'll say that the transition from where we were to, you know, at least for me, for my position now, kind of scary at first, but you guys actually did make it pretty easy. I came in with a lot of fears of, because of previous management, how they depicted you guys, and it turned out not to be that way. And it actually made my transition a lot easier. So, I wouldn't say you stood there with open checkbooks, but a lot of things got done that should have been done before that you guys didn't hesitate on, and I certainly appreciate that. Made a lot of things easier going forward.
I think for me, I want to thank all of you for taking a risk on me. I don't come from a local government background, and I know that in hiring me, it was a risk that you guys were taking, and not knowing what I know now, that was a big risk, and I appreciate the opportunity that I have had to serve you guys as board members and community members. And I look forward to continuing that partnership with you guys, whether you're as board members or just as residents. I really think that as a board, you guys have done a lot in just the time that I've been here to really shape the future of this district in a very positive manner. And you've been nothing but supportive of me, my staff, and my peers. And it's been really great, honestly, to work with each and every one of you. But for you, Neil, we've had lots of great conversations about technology and finance and things that will really make a lasting impression on this district. So just know that you're leaving a legacy through me with everything that you have accomplished on this board. And John, same thing. You know, you've been so dependable coming in and helping out with signing checks every single week. I know it sounds small, but it's a huge undertaking, and I really appreciate you always being willing to have a conversation about anything and giving really good advice. I've come to you with a lot of different scenarios, And you provided a lot of great guidance, and again, I hope that we can continue that relationship even when you're not on the board. So thank you, all of you, but especially you and Neil for everything that you've done for me and for this district.
All right, last but not least, I guess.
Yeah, last, hey, what the hell?
You ain't haven't been here long enough.
For 2 months.
Wow.
Oh, he's full rank.
You say chopped liver for last.
I guess. Well, I appreciate you board members a lot, especially you, Neil, and John in particular. You put a lot of fears to rest for me as far as, you know, being transparent. Transparency goes both ways. Earning trust goes both ways. And you know, I'm not a very trusting person by nature because I look at people on a different level and I analyze what they do, what they say. I've been lied to a lot in my life, but I didn't get that from you guys. I really appreciate that. And I want, you know, you tell me, you ask me something, let's tell you straight up. I have, and you know, because that trust was already built there. And I really appreciate that very much. And I'm hoping that others that will come on board can carry on with that same legacy and want to better their community. People really care about their community in which they live in. If we get those individuals that does that, this district can go to sky's the limit, if so be it. But I'm just hoping with that legacy that you guys left, leaving here behind, that continues on in the future boards to come. So appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Well, I need to back up. I might have at one point incidentally told you to do something that's anatomically incorrect. Apologize for that.
Oh, that's all right, you ate that one, didn't you?
You follow that up, but as the new guy, I'm humbled and appreciative of the board. You guys are the ones that hired me and brought me on, and I have a lot of gratitude for that, and work hard for you guys and make you guys proud of hiring me. So I certainly, in the limited time that I have, I've enjoyed my conversations with you, and this, I've already felt the support even in that short time. Thank you.
Looking forward to come visiting you. I still haven't done that yet.
Come over, we got some monuments to talk about.
Get some schedules down.
He works later.
Yeah, you can come at night, I'm usually there. You come before 6.
Two to 3 in the morning to do my other job.
I'm not
a day job.
That was the other morning when we thought the big snowstorm.
There you go.
Let me just add quickly that, Neil, I remember you from before you ran for the board, when you were attending these meetings as a member of the public. I remember the general attitude of everybody on the board at that time. Who is that tall, smart guy who seems to know so much about, on the one hand, computers, and on the other, green energy, and I don't remember everything that you were talking about. But there's a range of things, and everybody wanted to grab you and drag you onto the board, and I'm glad we succeeded in doing that. So it's been great working with you. And
Appreciate that.
John, I remember you from even longer ago. For Neil, I only started seeing a few weeks or months before he ran for the board, but you and I interacted years before you did. And it's been, we've seen a lot together from days when the district was more tumultuous than it is now to today. And I agree with what you said. There is or rather what Stacy said, it's a wonderful board dynamic. The best board that I've seen by far since I've been here, and I've seen quite a few boards by this point. So I'm glad to know that I'll be able to continue working with you in whatever capacity that might be. So thank you guys for stepping up to serve.
Thank you.
Now I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Go ahead now.
I'll second your motion. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.